Sarah did everything right. She paid off her credit card every single month, no interest charges ever. She decided to clean up her finances and closed 3 old cards she never used. She figured fewer accounts, simpler life, better score. Her credit score dropped 41 points in 30 days. She did not miss a payment. She did not take on new debt. She closed unused accounts, and she was penalized for it. Marcus heard that carrying a small balance on his credit card showed the bank he was using credit responsibly. His coworker told him. His uncle confirmed it. He had heard it from 3 different people across 10 years. He has been paying interest on a small balance every month for a decade because he believed that carrying a balance helped his score. It does not. It has never helped his score. He has paid thousands of dollars in unnecessary interest on a myth. And then there is the most popular myth of all, the one that causes more people to avoid good financial decisions than any other single piece of wrong information. The belief that checking your own credit score will hurt it. Millions of Americans avoid looking at their credit reports because they believe that looking at them causes damage. They drive with no speedometer because they have been told that looking at the speedometer slows the car down. Your credit score controls the interest rate on your mortgage, your car loan, your credit cards, your apartment deposit, and in some states, even your car insurance. A difference of 100 points on a credit score can change the interest rate on a 30-year mortgage by more than 1 full percentage point. On a $400,000 mortgage, that single percentage point costs approximately $85,000 in additional interest over the life of the loan. $85,000. From wrong information about how a number works. My name is Nick. This is Wealth Loom. Today, I am going to walk through 7 specific credit score beliefs that most Americans hold, many of which are partially or completely false, and replace them with what the data from FICO, Experian, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and TransUnion actually says. This is entertainment and education, not financial advice. Let us get into it. Part 1. The 5 factors. What actually determines your score. Before we can debunk myths, you need to know what the score is actually built from. Because most of the myths exist precisely because people do not know this. FICO scores, used by 90% of top lenders, are calculated from 5 factors. 5. That is it, and they are weighted very differently. Factor 1. Payment history. 35% of your score. This is the single largest factor. Every on-time payment builds this. Every late payment damages it. A single payment that is 30 or more days late can drop your score by 50 to 100 points, depending on where it starts. This factor alone is worth more than the next 2 factors combined. If you do nothing else, pay every bill on time, every month, without exception. Factor 2. Amounts owed, including credit utilization. 30% of your score. This is how much of your available credit you are using, expressed as a percentage. If you have a total credit limit of $10,000 across all your cards and you are carrying a combined balance of $3,000, your utilization rate is 30%. Lower is better. FICO data shows that people with scores above 800 typically keep utilization below 10%. This factor is why closing cards hurts you. It reduces your available credit, which raises your utilization ratio, which reduces this component. Factor 3. Length of credit history. 15% of your score. How long your accounts have been open. The age of your oldest account, your newest account, and the average age of all accounts. This is why closing old accounts is particularly damaging. You lose their contribution to both average age and oldest account age. Factor 4. Credit mix. 10% of your score. The variety of credit types you carry. Credit cards, installment loans, student loans, mortgages. Lenders like seeing you can manage different types responsibly. Factor 5. New credit inquiries. 10% of your score. Every time you apply for new credit and a lender pulls your file, it creates a hard inquiry. Hard inquiries have a small, temporary effect. More on this shortly. Now you know what actually matters. Let us go through the myths one by one. Part 2. Myth 1. Checking your own credit score hurts it. The myth, looking at your own credit score causes a hard inquiry and drops your score. The truth, completely false. Checking your own credit score is a soft inquiry. It has 0 effect on your credit score, not a small effect, 0. The confusion exists because there are 2 types of credit checks. A hard inquiry, when a lender pulls your file because you applied for credit, does have a small, temporary impact. A soft inquiry, when you check your own credit, when a company pre-approves you, or when an employer runs a background check, has no impact whatsoever. The practical consequence of this myth is serious. People avoid monitoring their own credit because they believe looking at it causes damage. This means they do not catch errors, do not spot identity theft, and do not know where they stand before major financial decisions. The Federal Trade Commission found that 1 in 5 Americans has an error on their credit report. 1 in 5. These errors can suppress your score by 30, 50, or more points, meaning you are paying higher interest rates on a score that does not accurately reflect your actual behavior. Finding and disputing those errors is free money, and it costs nothing to look. What you should actually do: check your credit report from all 3 bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, at annualcreditreport.com, which provides free weekly access to all 3 reports. Part 3. Myth 2. Carrying a balance helps your credit score. The myth: you need to carry a small balance on your credit cards to show that you are using credit and to build your score. Paying the full balance every month makes it look like you are not using the card. The truth? Entirely false. And this myth is actively costing people money. Your credit score benefits from you using your credit card and making payments. It does not benefit from you carrying a balance past your due date and paying interest. These are 2 completely different things. The myth collapses into one. Here's how it actually works. Your card issuer reports your balance to the credit bureaus at a specific time each month, typically when your statement closes, a few days before your payment is due. The balance that gets reported is the statement balance, not whether you carry it forward. So if your statement shows a $500 balance on a card with a $5,000 limit, the bureaus see 10% utilization, whether you pay that $500 in full on the due date or carry it forward and pay interest. Paying in full means 0 interest. Carrying a balance means you are paying the bank for absolutely nothing in credit score terms. On a card with a 22% APR, close to the national average, a $500 balance carried for 12 months costs approximately $110 in interest. Over 10 years, that is over $1,000. Over 20 years, over $2,000, paid to the bank for 0 credit score benefit. Use your cards, pay them off completely every month. You build credit history, you build utilization data, you collect rewards, and you pay 0 interest. That is the correct behavior. Part 4. Myth 3. Closing old credit cards cleans up your credit. The myth: closing old or unused credit cards is responsible financial housekeeping. Fewer open accounts looks cleaner and improves your score. The truth: closing old cards almost always hurts your score through 2 separate mechanisms and rarely helps it. When you close a credit card, 2 things happen simultaneously. First, the credit limit on that card disappears from your available credit pool. This raises your overall utilization rate immediately. Here's a simple example. Say you have 3 cards with a combined credit limit of $15,000 and you are carrying a combined balance of $3,000. Your utilization rate is 20%. Now you close the card with a $5,000 limit that you never use. Your available credit drops to $10,000. Your balance stays at $3,000. Now your utilization rate is 30%. That single action moved you from 20% to 30% utilization, and your score drops. Second, if the card you closed was your oldest account, you have just shortened your credit history. Closed accounts in good standing remain on your report for up to 10 years, but once they age off, your credit history shortens. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is explicit. Closing an existing credit card can increase your credit utilization ratio and lower your score. What should you do instead? Keep old cards open, make 1 small purchase per quarter, a coffee, a streaming subscription, and pay it off immediately. The card stays active, continues contributing its credit limit to your available pool, and continues aging into a longer credit history. You pay nothing in interest, and the card works for your score. Part 5. Myth 4. A hard inquiry is catastrophic for your score. The myth: applying for any new credit tanks your score and should be avoided at all costs. Rate shopping for a mortgage or car loan means your score is getting destroyed with each application. The truth: a single hard inquiry typically reduces your score by fewer than 5 points, according to FICO. Fewer than 5 points. And that reduction is temporary. The inquiry affects your score for approximately 12 months and stops impacting your score calculation entirely after that, even though it stays visible on your report for 2 years. The fear of hard inquiries causes genuinely bad decisions. People take the first loan offer they receive because they are afraid to shop around. They accept a higher interest rate from the dealership's financing arm rather than risk damaging their credit by getting competing quotes. On a 5-year car loan, the difference between a 6% rate and a 7% rate on a $35,000 loan is approximately $1,000 in total interest. People lose $1,000 permanently to avoid a 3 to 5 point score dip that would have recovered in months. There is also a built-in protection for rate shopping that most people do not know exists. FICO groups multiple hard inquiries of the same loan type, mortgage applications, auto loan applications, student loan applications, within a 45-day window and counts them as a single inquiry. So if you apply to 5 different mortgage lenders within 45 days to compare rates, your score sees 1 inquiry, not 5. This protection exists specifically because FICO recognizes that applying to multiple lenders for the same loan is responsible consumer behavior, not reckless credit seeking. Practical implication: if you are buying a car or a home, get multiple quotes. Apply to every lender you want to compare within a short window. The inquiry cost is small, temporary, and grouped. The savings from finding a better rate are large, immediate, and permanent. Part 6. Myth 5. Your income affects your credit score. The myth: earning more money gives you a higher credit score. Getting a raise will improve your credit. The truth: your income does not appear in your credit score calculation at all, not even slightly. FICO's scoring models do not consider income, net worth, bank account balances, or employment status. Your credit score is a measure of your history of borrowing and repaying. A physician earning $400,000 per year who missed multiple payments, carries high balances, and has limited credit history can have a worse score than a teacher earning $50,000 per year who has never missed a payment and keeps utilization low. This myth matters because it causes people to assume their income position is their credit position, and therefore to feel that good credit is either automatic once income rises or inaccessible because income is low. Neither is true. Credit is built through behavior, not earnings. Someone earning $30,000 per year can achieve an 800 credit score through disciplined payment behavior and responsible utilization management. Lenders do consider income separately when evaluating a loan application. Your debt-to-income ratio is a separate calculation, but that is different from the score itself. Part 7. Myth 6. The 30% utilization rule is a hard ceiling. The myth: keep your credit utilization below 30% and you are fine. Cross 30% and your score drops. Below 30%, you are safe. The truth: the 30% figure is a commonly cited guideline, but FICO itself states that the data does not support the idea that your score falls off a cliff the moment you cross 30%. Utilization is a continuous variable. Lower is consistently better. What FICO data actually shows: people with scores above 800 typically maintain utilization below 10%, not 30. 10. The 30% guidance exists as a rough safety zone, not as a target. If you are sitting at 28% utilization thinking you are fine because you are under 30, you should know that 10% or below would score noticeably better. There's also an aspect almost nobody discusses. FICO considers individual card utilization, not just overall utilization. If your overall utilization is 20%, but one specific card is at 90%, that individual card's high rate can significantly drag your score even if the aggregate looks fine. The practical target: below 10% overall utilization and no individual card above 30%. If you pay in full each month but your statement balance is high relative to your limit, consider making a mid-cycle payment before your statement closes. This reduces the balance that gets reported. Part 8. Myth 7. Paying off old collections removes them. The myth: if you pay off an old collection account, it disappears from your credit report and the damage is undone. The truth: paying off a collection account does not automatically remove it from your credit report. A paid collection is still a collection. It remains on your report for 7 years from the original delinquency date. Many people pay off old collections expecting a score boost and receive little to none. Because the negative mark stays, it just changes from unpaid to paid. Important nuances: newer FICO scoring models, FICO 9 and FICO 10, do not penalize paid collections in their calculation. Under these models, paying off a collection does help. Older FICO models, particularly FICO 8, which remains the most commonly used by mortgage lenders, continue to count paid collections negatively. The VantageScore model, used by Credit Karma and many bank monitoring tools, treats paid collections more favorably. This is part of why your Credit Karma score and the score a mortgage lender pulls can be surprisingly different. They may be using different models entirely. What can actually remove a collection? A legitimate dispute if the item is inaccurate or reported in error. A pay-for-delete agreement negotiated with the collector where they agree to remove the item in exchange for payment, though not all collectors will agree and not all bureaus honor these. And time, negative items age off after 7 years regardless. Part 9. The real math. What these myths actually cost. Let me pull this together into dollar amounts that make the stakes concrete. The mortgage rate gap. The difference between a credit score of 650 and a score of 760 typically corresponds to a mortgage interest rate difference of approximately 1 to 1.5 percentage points. On a $400,000 30-year mortgage, the difference between 5.5% and 7% rates is approximately $123,000 in total interest over the life of the loan. $123,000. From the same loan on the same house at different credit scores. The balance myth cost. The person who carries a $300 balance every month to build credit, paying roughly 22% APR, spends approximately $66 per year in unnecessary interest. Over 20 years, that is over $1,300. Paid to the bank for no credit score benefit. The closed card utilization hit. Someone with $20,000 in total credit limits who closes a card with an $8,000 limit may go from 20% utilization to over 30% if they are carrying any balance, potentially dropping their score by 20 to 40 points and moving them into a worse rate tier on their next loan. The rate shopping avoidance tax. Someone who accepts a 7% auto loan rate instead of shopping around for a 5.8% rate on a $30,000 60-month loan pays over $1,000 in additional interest over the life of the loan. The hard inquiry they avoided would have cost them fewer than 5 points for a few months. This is the real cost of credit score myths. Dollars transferred from your pocket to banks and lenders because of wrong information. Closing here is the framework for actually building and protecting your credit score. 1. Pay every bill on time, every single month. 35% of your score. Set up autopay for at least the minimum on every account so you never miss because you forgot. 2. Keep overall utilization below 10%. Make sure no individual card exceeds 30%. Pay in full every month. 3. Keep old accounts open. Use them lightly and regularly. Do not close old cards to clean things up. It almost always makes things worse. 4. Check your credit reports regularly at annualcreditreport.com. Soft inquiry. Zero cost. 1 in 5 reports has an error. Finding and disputing those errors is free money. 5. When shopping for a mortgage, car loan, or student loan, apply to multiple lenders within 45 days. Get the best rate. The inquiry cost is minimal and temporary. The interest savings are real and permanent. 6. Stop carrying balances to build credit. Pay in full every month. Keep the history. Keep the utilization data. Keep the rewards. Pay no interest. Your credit score is not mysterious. It is a formula with 5 inputs, weighted and documented and available on FICO's own website. The myths around it persist because most people learn about credit from other people who also did not read the formula. Now you have read it. Use it. Subscribe, because we keep running the math most people learn about too late. This is entertainment and education, not financial advice.